Hey everyone. So you've probably heard some talk about a possible new stimulus package.
Yeah,
And it looks like this one could be specifically for seniors,
that's right.
if this is something that could really make a difference for you.
Right.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Absolutely.
That way you won't miss any updates on what's happening with this.
Yeah, we're going to break down all the details
Yeah.
based on this big in-depth report we've been going through.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The big news here is that this possible stimulus
Yeah.
is aimed at Americans who are 60 or older.
And it's not just anyone over 60 to be eligible. You'd have to be getting Social Security retirement benefits.
Okay.
SSDI or SSI.
Okay, now I'm guessing that maybe some people listening aren't really sure what SSDI and SSI are.
Good point. SSDI stands for Social Security Disability Insurance.
Okay.
And that's for people who worked and paid Social Security taxes but can't work anymore because of a disability.
I see.
SSI, or Supplemental Security Income, is a program for people with limited income and resources, no matter their work history.
So basically, if you're 60 or older and getting some kind of Social Security benefits,
Yeah,
you're probably in the group this stimulus is aiming for.
exactly. And here's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
The report says there could be a total payment amount of $18,400.
Wow, that's not small change.
No, it's not. And here's where we start to see some real careful planning in how they've designed this program.
Okay.
Instead of one big lump sum.
Right.
The $8,400 would be divided into 3 payments.
Yeah.
Could get $3,200 first,
Yeah.
and then 2 more payments of $2,600 each.
I see what they're doing. They're spreading it out. Like, that could really help people with their budgeting,
Exactly.
especially for folks on a fixed income.
For sure.
It's like getting a little boost every few months to help cover those bills that just keep coming.
Precisely. It gives you more consistent support over time.
Yeah.
And as far as timing goes,
Right.
the first payment could start landing in bank accounts as soon as next month, with the following payments coming every 3 months after that.
So maybe some good news coming soon. Now, I'm curious, how have rising costs been affecting you?
Yeah.
Tell us in the comments. Have you had to cut back on things?
Yeah.
Or are you finding it harder to make ends meet?
It's tough out there.
And if you're finding this info helpful so far, don't forget to give this video a like.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's important to understand why this stimulus is specifically for seniors.
Right.
This isn't just about giving everyone extra money.
Yeah, this report really highlights how the recent tough economic times have hit older Americans harder.
That's true. We've all seen grocery prices go way up.
Oh, yeah.
Utility bills keep climbing.
It's crazy.
And don't even get me started on healthcare costs.
Exactly. And for seniors, many of whom are living on a fixed income,
Right.
those rising costs can be really devastating.
Yeah.
They don't have the same ability to adjust their budgets or maybe pick up some extra work that younger folks might have.
That's right.
So this stimulus is really trying to deal with those specific challenges
Yeah.
and give some real relief.
Exactly. It recognizes that seniors are dealing with a different set of circumstances and need help that's made for them.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty details.
All right.
First up, the application process.
Okay.
Good news for most people, there wouldn't be any application needed.
That's right.
The IRS would use data they already have from the Social Security Administration
Yep.
to figure out who's eligible and process the payments automatically.
Makes sense.
So if you're already getting Social Security benefits, you're basically automatically signed up for this program.
I like that.
That's a huge weight off the shoulders for folks who might not be comfortable with complicated online forms or phone systems.
Absolutely. They've really tried to make the process simple.
Yeah.
And get rid of any obstacles for seniors.
Good. But what about people who don't usually file tax returns?
Yeah, good question.
Would they miss out?
That's a great point, and thankfully the report addresses that too. Okay, good.
They've apparently set up a simplified process for those people,
Okay.
including a special online portal
Okay.
and a phone line specifically for questions about the stimulus.
So they've thought about that situation.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
good to know.
that's reassuring. Now, here's another big thing that many people might be wondering about.
Yeah.
Would this extra money affect their other benefits?
Right.
Could it mess up their eligibility for things like Medicaid or SNAP?
That's a major concern for a lot of people.
For sure.
And I'm happy to say that according to this report, the answer is a big NO.
That's great news.
These stimulus payments wouldn't count as income for any other federal assistance programs.
So it really is extra income meant to help and not create more profit.
Exactly. That's crucial information for seniors who depend on those other programs to get by.
Absolutely. And to be extra clear,
Yeah.
these payments wouldn't be considered taxable income either.
Okay, good.
You wouldn't have to report them on your tax return or worry about owing the IRS money later.
That's a big relief.
Right.
So no application for most, no impact on other benefits.
Right.
And no taxes.
It seems like they've tried to make this as simple and helpful as they can.
It does seem like they've really thought things through. But what if you've moved recently or changed bank accounts?
Yeah, that's important.
How do you make sure that money actually gets to you? We'll dig into those details and more right after this.
So we were talking about what happens if your contact info has changed.
Right.
Well, the report says the IRS has a special online portal just for that.
That makes sense. It would be a real pain to try to track down a paper check.
Oh, yeah.
Or try to update your info through some confusing phone system.
Exactly. Especially for seniors who might not be as comfortable using online systems.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they've tried to make it easy to use.
Okay.
You can update your address, your bank account info, all in one spot.
So even if you've moved recently,
you
shouldn't miss your payment.
Exactly.
That's good to know.
Now let's talk about some other specific situations that seniors might be dealing with.
Okay.
What about those who share custody of dependents?
Right.
Or have had changes in their household lately?
That's a great point. Those situations can get complicated fast.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it comes to money.
And to their credit, the IRS seems to have thought about that.
Okay.
The report lays out specific rules for handling those scenarios.
Okay.
Making sure the stimulus money is divided fairly.
Right.
And nobody gets paid twice.
So whether you've recently gone through a divorce, taking in a grandchild, or are dealing with some other family situation, there are procedures in place to make sure the money goes to the right people.
It seems like they've really tried to cover all sorts of situations.
Yeah.
And that level of detail is impressive.
It is. They've clearly put a lot of thought into making this program as complete and fair as possible.
Yeah.
And here's another detail I found really interesting.
Okay.
The stimulus doesn't have an income limit for seniors over 60.
You mean like a phase out?
Yeah. Even if they're still working part-time?
That's a big deal. Most stimulus programs in the past have had income limits.
Right.
Meaning if you earned above a certain amount, you wouldn't qualify.
Right.
Or your payment would be reduced.
Right.
But in this case, it seems like they're acknowledging that many older Americans have to work.
Yeah.
Even if it's just part-time.
Yeah.
To add to their Social Security benefits.
Exactly. And it avoids a situation where people might actually lose money if they work more hours.
Right. That can discourage people who want to stay active and keep contributing.
And speaking of healthcare.
Yeah.
While the payments aren't specifically meant for medical expenses.
Right.
It's worth noting that the timing and amount have probably been figured out with healthcare costs in mind.
That makes sense. The annual Medicare enrollment period and the typical out-of-pocket costs seniors have can really strain their budgets.
Exactly. So even though you can technically spend the money on whatever you need, it's probably safe to say that a good portion of it will go towards those healthcare needs.
For sure. Now, for those receiving SSDI, the report says that the payment schedule would match up with their regular SSDI payment dates.
That's smart. It avoids any confusion or problems for beneficiaries.
Right. They're already used to getting their benefits on a certain schedule.
Right.
So this just keeps things consistent.
And speaking of keeping things running smoothly and securely, the report also mentions they've increased security measures to prevent fraud.
Good.
And protect seniors from scams.
That's so important. We know that seniors can be especially vulnerable to financial scams.
Yeah. It's good to see that the IRS is taking this seriously and putting protections in place.
Absolutely. Now, beyond how this affects individuals, let's talk about the possible wider economic impacts.
Okay.
Analysts think these payments could have a good ripple effect on local economies.
That makes sense. When seniors have more money to spend, they tend to spend it locally, supporting businesses and services in their communities.
It's a classic example of how giving people more money can boost economic activity.
Right. And in this case, it would be a win-win.
Yeah.
Helping both seniors and their local economies.
Exactly. And the report points out another positive thing.
Okay.
They've apparently learned from past stimulus rounds and made the payment system itself better.
Oh, that's good to hear. Were there problems before?
Well, there were definitely some hiccups.
Right.
As with any big government program.
Sure.
But it sounds like they've taken those lessons to heart and made some significant upgrades.
Like it specifically?
They've improved direct deposit capabilities.
Okay.
Streamlined paper check processing.
Right.
And generally made the system more efficient.
So that should hopefully mean faster delivery times.
Yeah.
And fewer delays.
Right. That's good news for everyone.
Yeah.
but especially for seniors who might be counting on this money to cover immediate expenses.
Absolutely. And here's another important point the report emphasizes.
Okay.
They've made sure that seniors living in care facilities get their full stimulus amounts.
That's so important. I could see how there might be worries about those funds being misused.
Yeah.
Right? But the report is very clear on this.
Okay.
These payments belong to the residents, period.
Good.
They can't be used to cover care costs or any other expenses the facility has.
That's a crucial protection.
Yeah.
Making sure the money goes directly to those who need it most.
And for seniors who are getting their benefits through a representative payee,
right,
the stimulus payments would follow the same rules as their regular Social Security benefits.
So the representative payee would still be in charge of managing the money responsibly.
Right.
And making sure it's used for the beneficiary's needs.
Exactly. It's a system that's already in place.
Right.
And provides oversight and accountability.
Now, here's something that might surprise some people.
Okay.
The stimulus package includes things for seniors who are still paying off student loans.
Wait, really? Even if they're paying off their own loans or loans they co-sign for family?
That's right. The report says these payments can't be taken to pay off federal student loan debt.
That's huge. It recognizes that student loan debt can be a big burden for many seniors.
Yeah.
Whether it's their own debt or debt they've taken on to help their kids or grandkids.
Exactly. And it gives them more financial relief.
Right.
Allowing seniors to keep more of their stimulus money to cover other important expenses.
It's a move that could really make a difference in the financial well-being of a lot of older Americans.
Yeah.
And speaking of making a difference, let's not forget about our veterans.
Of course, the report mentions that they've streamlined things between the VA and IRS.
Good.
To make sure payments go out smoothly for veterans who get VA benefits.
That's great news. It should help veteran seniors avoid any unnecessary delays or hassles in getting your stimulus payments.
Yeah, they've served our country.
They have.
And they deserve a process that's easy.
Absolutely. Now, taking a step back for a moment, this potential stimulus package seems to show a change in how the government thinks about helping senior citizens.
It definitely seems more targeted.
Yeah.
Recognizing the specific challenges older Americans face.
Right.
Rather than taking a one-size-fits-all approach.
And it seems like they're really trying to make the process as user-friendly and easy to understand as they can.
It does. The report says that the IRS has put more resources into handling questions and processing payments.
Good.
They're even extending customer service hours.
That's a good sign. It suggests they're expecting a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And are taking steps ahead of time to make this process as smooth as possible.
And here's a key takeaway for everyone listening.
Okay.
Even if you've moved, changed bank accounts,
right,
or have had other changes in your life,
yeah,
the IRS has ways to make sure you don't miss out on your payments.
That's crucial, especially with everything changing all the time.
It is.
Being flexible and able to adapt is key.
So to recap, this report suggests that eligible seniors could get up to $8,400 in stimulus payments.
Okay.
With the first payment possibly coming as early as next month.
That's exciting.
That's important to remember. Now, it's important to remember that this is all still up in the air.
Yeah.
This report lays out a possible plan.
A proposal.
But things could change.
Definitely, laws still need to be passed. Details could be tweaked, and the timeline could shift.
Right.
So it's really important to stay informed and not take anything for granted just yet.
That's where we come in. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Yes.
And turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on this potential stimulus package.
Right.
Or any other important financial news that could affect you.
We'll be keeping a close eye on this story and giving you all the latest developments.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
It is.
Especially when it comes to your money.
Absolutely.
We've covered a lot today, but we know you probably still have questions.
Yeah.
So hit us up in the comments. What are your biggest worries about this possible stimulus?
What do you want to know more about?
We're here to help you navigate this complicated stuff and make sense of it all.
And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to give this video a like.
Yes.
And share it with your friends and family who might also find this information useful.
Spreading the word is a great way to help each other out and make sure everyone has the information they need.
Absolutely.
To make smart decisions. Thanks for joining us today, and stay tuned for more updates.